Howdy folks, Kenny Smith with Total Force. I quite literally just finished my workout a few minutes ago, so a little sweaty. At least I'm not like sucking wind. What we're going to talk about today is violence in general. You hear this mantra, and it's usually associated with some panty waist liberal hipster, that violence never solves anything. And anybody that has honestly grown up to adulthood without having their head either stuck in the sand somewhere or stuck up their ass their entire life understand that violence is unavoidable. It is completely unavoidable, and it's part of nature. Regardless of how you think humanity came to be, you can't say we're not animals. Biologically, we are no different than anything else. Again, how you choose to think we came to be, that's your prerogative. But by biology, we are very, very similar to other animals. As an omnivore, meaning we eat both plant matter and other animals, we have the natural tendencies of both. All right. If you look at our teeth, for example, the bicuspids and the molars in the rear are better suited to like chewing fibrous matter, plants, nuts, crap like that. But when you start getting towards the front of the mouth, you have the incisors that serve very little purpose other than slicing. And more importantly, you have 4 canine teeth. And when you look at animals in nature, the ones that have these sharp, pointy canine teeth are typically predators. If you eat meat, then you kill other animals to live. Whether you kill them yourself or you pay someone else to do it for you is irrelevant. Okay? So we have to understand that by our very nature, we're a violent entity as far as humanity goes. Okay? And even if you're vegetarian, vegan, whatever, we'll get into that a little bit later, you still have the potential. Okay? Violence, the notion of violence never solves anything is just bluntly total bullshit. Okay? Let's think of 2 very, very, very big things that violence solved. The first of which being not having rule of law. Look at what put the Magna Carta into place in England years ago, centuries ago. It wasn't we're going to do this. No. How about American freedom? What got that? What got us the ability to be free? What got your ability to do what you do and gave me my ability to do what I do? Exactly. We're freedom. There's only one thing. We didn't go to the king and say, please, sir, we would like to be free. We shot the shit out of all of his men. Okay? Keep it on further. How about slavery in the Americas? That wasn't a polite request. Okay? My own opinions on the war notwithstanding, a big issue, the states' right to nullification that the South was fighting for, and it had a lot to do with the slave laws. Granted, it wasn't mentioned in many articles of secession, but nevertheless, that is typically the state right that came up. So, there was a war fought over that. You could keep on going. How about Spanish occupation of most of Latin and Central America? Spanish American War. Keep it on going a little bit further. What about the World War II? What about Hitler's invasions of all over? And the subsequent mass murder of everybody he deemed as Untermensch. All right, what stopped that? It wasn't we're sorry, that's just not going to fly. That's unacceptable. You need to quit. No, it was a series of invasions that killed the shit out of a lot of people. All right, Japanese aggression in Asia during the same time frame. It had nothing to do with a polite request. It had to do with a bunch of U.S. Marines and soldiers pushing them off these islands, out of these lands. All right, and they didn't just push them, shove them with their hands. They shoved them at bayonet point or by a 30-06 bullet. All right, keeping on going further. What got the North Koreans out of South Korea? It wasn't a polite request. Okay, it was a lot of dead bodies that got stacked up for that. All right, this notion that violence doesn't solve anything is not only completely inaccurate. Anybody that says that is probably not very intelligent. And if they are intelligent, they're certainly incompetent because they don't have the competence to read a friggin' history book. All right? And you could say that my profanity makes me appear to be unintelligent, and that may be the case. But appearances are deceiving. Okay? I'm smart enough to read a history book and understand a few things, especially about my chosen line of work, being I make people better fighters. Okay? I don't teach you how I can teach you conflict de-escalation, but that's not my forte. My forte is teaching you what to do and how to do it when that quits working. Okay? So the first thing all of us need to do, everybody watching this, whether you carry a weapon for self-defense, whether you're a martial artist, anything like that, you need to just eliminate the notion of violence doesn't solve anything. You need to eliminate that from your mind. All right? There is obviously excessive or gratuitous violence. You're right. That does not solve anything. But there is a time and a place for violence. And in that time and place for violence, violence is the only option that has a high likelihood of success. In my mind, it's the only option that has any likelihood of success. I mean, we're not talking about something where people have a polite request here and there and they just go their separate ways. We would like for that to happen. But unfortunately, that's not the case. I mean, if someone is trying to rob you and they stick a knife to your throat and say, give me your fucking wallet, no, I don't think I'm going to do that. You just need to leave. This is unacceptable behavior. Tell me how far that's going to get you. I'm pretty sure securing that knife is some kind of joint lock, breaking their freaking arm. I'm pretty sure that'll get you a lot further. All right. So how do we foster violence without getting the excessive or grotesque? Gratuitous violence. How do we foster that? And that's done obviously in the training realm. We quit doing things politically correct. Okay? We have to forget this Marshall Dillon, John Wayne attitude. All right? You're not playing a game. You're fighting for your life, or you're fighting for the life of somebody you care about. So if you think you're going to be, Marshall Dillon and meet them at high noon and give them the opportunity, no, you're already dead. All right? You may as well just, when you draw, you may as well just stick it underneath your chin. You're going to have the same effect. So if you think you're the John Wayne, I'm a fair play, do what's right, I got nothing for you. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that in everyday life, but when it comes to the actual fight itself, there are no rules. None. Okay. If you're a law enforcement officer or something like that, you have a use of force policy you have to follow. Other than that, your state has clear statutes. You know when you can and can't use force. Okay. You know when you can and can't use deadly physical force. Okay. If you know that you're standing a great risk of death or bodily harm, you're game on. Okay. And there's no need, don't worry about restraint and control. Look, if you're justified and you feel that you need to use significant force because you're at risk of death or bodily harm, there's no restraint, there is no control. Break what you grab. They can't hurt you with it if it don't work. Okay? And the problem with that is a lot of people are used to, well, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give them the opportunity to escape. No. They had the opportunity before they pushed the envelope. Okay? Now, I mean, if they try to take off running, I'm not saying sit there and just hold them. No, big difference. But the time to take the kid gloves off just happened. Okay? You need to decide to be aggressive enough, quickly enough, and violent enough. All right? The objective of self-defense is you're not repelling your attacker. You're not stopping your attacker. You're not doing any of that. You're overwhelming your attacker. Okay? What makes them stop? What makes them decide to leave? All of a sudden, the mission cannot be completed how they want to complete it. Either A, they just encountered an equal or better weapon and don't want to play anymore. B, you hit them one good time and rock their world and they don't want to play anymore. C, some part of their body ceased to work and they choose not to play anymore. Or D, all of their body ceased to work to include breathing and pulse rate. Breathing, not breathing. Breathing, B-R-E-A-T-H-I-N-G. Everything ceased and the only option they had was to let gravity take over and take a dirt nap. Okay? That is, if you're justified to use deadly physical force, that is absolutely an option. All right? And what's funny is you get these liability conscious self-defense instructors like, well, you're shooting to stop the threat. You're shooting him in the heart, dude. You know how that stops the threat? get comfortable with what you're really doing. Okay. Yes, your objective is to stop the threat. Your intent is to stop the threat. Your mechanism is going to stop the threat by killing the threat. Don't make any mistake about it, and don't pussyfoot about it. Okay. The guys that, well, I'm going to stop threat, I'm going to stop threat, I'm going to stop threat, and then they realize they killed the guy, those are the ones that end up eating their own gun. All right. Why? Because they can't stand the thought of having killed somebody, because that's not what they wanted to do. Go ahead and get comfortable with that idea. All right. And if you can't get comfortable with the idea of taking a human life, of intentionally killing them, don't carry a gun. Don't carry a knife. Just go through life. Don't even worry about it. All right. If you do not win the fight if you kill yourself later because of the stress of it. Okay. If you're the type of guy that when you go to the range and you walk 25 yards to go pace your target and you're sucking wind and your heart's boom, 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 boom. You know, if you're that type of guy, that type of gal, you're not going to win the fight if you die of a heart attack because of the stress. And that's Gabe Suarez line, not mine. Okay. You know, when you look at violence, it's a big, broad subject, but the key thing about it is every single human being alive is capable of it. If you watch the movie Basic with John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson, they're sitting there and they're going back and forth to the woman, the Army CID investigator, and Travolta's character. They're going back and forth, and Travolta's character says a line that stuck with me a long time. He's, murder is basic. Everybody is capable of murder. No grand conspiracies. And he's right. He is absolutely right. You know, I don't care who you are. I promise you I can find a situation where you would intentionally take human life. You know, that's one of those things. If you're a parent, I promise you, I can guarantee you that if a person is trying to harm your kids, you think that your kids are at risk of dying, you may be the type that says violence never solves anything, and I guarantee you there's a mama bear or a papa bear somewhere inside you that ain't going to let that shit fly. And if you want to sit here and honestly tell me that you could walk in on your child being raped at knife point and you would not do anything about it, you are a subhuman piece of shit that's not worth the dog crap I scraped off my boot last night. And you should probably go jump off a bridge, because I know how long it is. My girlfriend was trying to tell me I'm ranting too long. Those of y'all who watch my channel, this is 12 and a half minutes. This ain't nothing. All right, y'all know this. But there again, violence is something we need to get comfortable with. And I'm going to do some videos later on, and I'm going to work with y'all, walk y'all through some ideas on how to train that level of violence, train that level of aggression, so that not only are you comfortable with using it when it needs to be used, you understand how to keep it in check. That's the thing with aggression and violence. Typically, if you've never gotten comfortable with your dark side, for lack of better words there, then when it comes out, you can't control it. Okay? That's the advantage of being a former criminal. I used to live every day in my dark side, so I'm used to it. But when you have never experienced that before, then you obviously have no idea how to control it. So I'm going to give you a few tips on that right now. Number one, get in a fight. That doesn't mean go to the nearest bar, find the biggest, baddest guy you can, and punch him in the mouth. If you've never been in a fight before, that's probably not going to end well for you. Okay? That means go find a martial arts school, call me, schedule private training. Go find a gun school that does force on force, specifically force on force training. Look up Craig Douglas with ShivWorks. Guys like that, high-end guys that do force on force training and that are known for doing force on force training. You look at those kind of guys, those kind of gal. Go find a good martial arts school that's full contact, where you're actually beating the crap out of each other, and join up there. You know, if you just want a sparring partner, my dad's getting ready for another kickboxing match. I need sparring partners. All right, come on down here. Feel free. I mean, you can beat the crap out of us. We'll return the favor. I mean, that's what we do for fun around here. So, by all means, get in a fight. Get in a fight. You will learn when you pussyfoot about is when you get hurt, when you get injured, simulated, or actual, if you're actually sparring full bore. when you indulge that violent side and you become that's when you win. All right. Another option you can do besides force on force training, besides martial art, get an airsoft gun. Set up some scenarios with a buddy. Get 2 airsoft guns. Okay. And get 2 airsoft blowback or semi-auto, preferably blowback, so you can get used to the slide, moving back and forth a little bit. Get two semi-auto airsoft pistols and at least 1, if not 2, training knives, and set up a few scenarios with some friends. All right, and make sure somebody understands this is what you're doing, and set your scenario up and run your scenario. Okay. Is it the same as structured force on force training with a specialist force on force instructor? No, but the advantage of that is, and this is something that I do in my area, we can sit there and put yourself in likely situations that you may be in, and base on actual scenarios that have happened or happen frequently in your area of operations, make that happen, make it a little bit more specialized training. The third option is, I'm going to say it again, get in a fight. Go get in a fight. And this time I mean it for real. If you actually get into and I'm not saying go start a fight. I'm saying when next time you go work with a self-defense training partner or whatever, glove up, and instead of running drills, or maybe not necessarily glove up, instead of running drills where you and your partner both know the scenario, what's going to happen, do it randomly. Just make sure you're safe about it. All right. So you can actually get in an actual fight without the consequences of, blood loss, broken bones, dying, all that happy horse shit. Okay. Then once you take that, learn from it. Okay. And it gives you this opportunity to be violent without having the risk of having already taken a life and getting a little bit of bloodlust going on. Okay. Force on force is a big, important part of training because it helps you indulge your violent side. It helps you get used to using it. It helps you get used to building that aggression up and using it as a weapon itself. All right. There are 3 things that wins fights. 3 things and 3 things only: speed, surprise, and here's the big one: violence of action. Deciding to be aggressive enough, quickly enough, violently enough to finish the fight all the way through to the end. So if you have questions on what you can do to indulge your violent side, to kind of train it a little bit, shoot us a message on here, Facebook, whatever. I'll be certainly glad to help you. If you want to come train with us privately, we're always here. Just give us a call. Email works better. Email or message on social media, either one of those. But just let us know, and I'll put some more videos out later as the weeks and months progress on how to do what I'm talking about, including some force-on-force scenarios we're going to work. So this is Kenny Smith with Total Force. As always, stay frosty, stay in the fight.